Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Browns post-game show. Final score, the Browns 14, the Vikings 7. Y'all can be proud of that. I'm not.
No, that was the worst game in the history of fucking Christ. That was so painful to get through.
Neither team deserved to win that football game.
Come on.
I mean, no, not come on. If you don't, go eat your food.
We won the game, man. We won the game.
Yeah, you won the game. That's awful.
Shouldn't have. That's the bottom line. You shouldn't have.
I mean, if I guess I'm the kind of person who looks at the way things are done. And I recognize that a win is better than a loss. But, I mean, I got so many questions about this. I mean, for one, and I just want to scream. I'm doing some adjusting of settings on the fly here. I'm sorry because this kind of took me by surprise. I wanted to watch that game until the final second. First of all, and there's countless examples of this. All you have to do is run out the clock at the end of the game. You've rushed for over 150 yards for the game. It's got you to midfield. And what do? You throw 2 low percentage passes. You deserve to lose. Okay? I'm responding to you directly, Bronk, because you say, oh, come on now. The first one was a sideline pattern to Odell Beckham where the sideline was the second defender. As low percentage a pass as you could find. The next one, you're going to throw into double coverage with Anthony Schwartz. 0% chance of it happening. You're going to give the ball right back to the Vikings like you did over and over and over during the course of the game.
They are very lucky Kirk Cousins couldn't fucking throw his way out of a fucking wet paper sack.
And the other thing is somebody on the coaching staff had best tell Baker that his footwork is fucked up again because every ball's sailing. I mean, it's sailing 4, 5, 6 yards over the head of his intended receiver.
He stopped trusting again. And it's one of the things me and Tony were going back on Twitter. He's not trusting again. He had guys wide open. He saw them and he didn't hit them. That's why he's got.
There was one play with Demetric Felton I couldn't believe.
Yeah, it was insane. I was like, how do you not see him?
I mean, one more first down that you get in that game, make sure that they're not throwing for the end zone to tie or win the game at the end. I can't believe that a team that was as dominant in running the ball in the fourth quarter as the Browns, like this is stubbornness on the part of the head coach. This has nothing to do with strategy. And then the last throw to Odell Beckham. I mean, you say terrible throw. Absolutely terrible throw. But it didn't matter. He tripped over his feet anyway. Stumble bums. They were stumble bums today. And the only reason that they won this game is because the Vikings, I guess, aren't that good, Tony. I mean, what can I tell you? That 30-point machine didn't look like no 30-point machine. And I'll say this for the Browns defense, because I want to say something good for God's sakes. Although they were exhausted at the end because Stefanski made sure that he destroyed his one strong suit in the game. My God. And I'm bringing in Brian here. I just brought in... I'm just making sure that everybody is here.
Sorry, everybody. I started Baker Mayfield in fantasy, so my
It's your fault.
Swallowed him whole. Just absolutely swallowed him whole.
Just trade him now, okay? Get rid of him.
It's your fault.
Yeah, I mean, right now, I was so emotional during the course of this game asking why. I mean... And I will continue to ask these questions. A, have our opponents figured out our downfield passing scheme? because nobody's open. All right. And 2,
Schwartz had
Baker,
his guy beat by a yard.
say what?
And Mayfield missed him, but Schwartz had his guy beat by a yard.
Well, ODB was open by 5 yards, and he missed him on
God,
that.
yeah. Dalton was
there
open.
was-
Everybody was open.
I mean, he could have been in dazed and confused. His passes were so high; it was bad.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't know. The one that he missed Hunt wide open in the end zone in the first drive of the game.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
I'm just looking at this going, and his feet were all crossed up, it just all whacked out. Just really strange. But I do want to say something good, and that is there are players on the defense who deserve accolades. One, Greedy Williams making an interception that should have ended the game. Showing good technique in the process, not interfering and keeping his eyes back on the ball and getting the interception. I felt great for him. Having been so badly hurt last year, he had an opportunity to make a big play. At the end of the game, I'm really happy that Denzel Ward finally made a play in the game and batted a pass down, because he has not been as good this year as he has been. And so I felt good for him. Koromoa is as advertised.
Fantastic.
What a steal. What a steal.
Fantastic player.
Yeah, I mean,
All
there's
day too. It wasn't like he was making plays here or there. It was
Right.
every down he was doing something significant too.
Yeah, it's watching him and just his movements toward the ball, his instincts, and when he tackles somebody, he gets them to the ground. I mean, you don't see people running through him. And just as a side note, these are things that are flashing into my head. Don't tell me that Dalvin Cook didn't get a major painkiller, because there's no way he comes running back on the field and makes the cut that he made.
They didn't
As
talk
soon as
about
I
it.
saw that, I'm like, "Yep, the Tranks quick kicked in."
They didn't talk about it on the broadcast, but when he took his helmet off, he screamed in pain. It wasn't frustration; it was pain, and something had to have been drastically wrong.
It reminded me of Varsity Blues. Can we fix him if he'll let us? Yeah.
Exactly. And when he came in and got his hands on the ball and he made that fierce cut, I'm saying, my God, he's man of war. He's been shot up with butazolidin. I mean, he can't feel nothing.
Yeah.
And but I wouldn't give him 2 pennies for his career if he's going to play deadened like that, because more damage will be done. And yeah, Jedrick Wills off the field again. I mean, they're not going to let him get healed from that ankle, so he's going to be injured all year. But then they bring in Hudson, and I can't for the life of me. Hance, obviously, they didn't like what they saw on film. They'd rather have the guy who really gives illegal motion every time he's on the field. And every time we've seen Hudson in the preseason, he did the same damn thing. He don't belong on a football field at this level. Just doesn't belong there. With that all said,
It hurt that Hubbard wasn't available for the last 3 games as well, because that's where he would be.
And the fact that they thought he might, but you're dealing with a tricep. This is not a good thing.
No, every play where you're going like this every single time, you can't participate with a tricep injury. So
Did I miss something because I was screaming at the TV wanting to skull fuck Mike Zimmer? Did Clowney come back in the game? Because
yes, he did. Yeah.
He was
that's the other-
screaming in
That
pain
last
too.
drive.
That's the other good thing I want to say, and that's that, when he went down, he got back up and he came out and he was exhausted and he gave his all. And, he left nothing on the field. And meanwhile, it was Superman Myles Garrett who was out of the game because he couldn't breathe. And they had to call a timeout.
His helmet came out. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
But
his helmet.
And
Yeah,
that's an
pancaked.
automatic one play.
Thank you.
That's why. That's why
They called the
Stefanski had to
timeout.
call that timeout
Got him back
to
on.
get him back on the
But-
field, because otherwise he would have sat out that 3rd down play.
In all their defense on defense, they were out there a long time. It was like a Tootsie Roll Pop. They were just They spent a lot of time out
They
there.
kept going and going.
And they were
Oh
very
my
aggressive
gosh.
too. It wasn't a lot of just soft letting your
Yeah,
man
but
get to
But you know the way to beat Cousins is to get pressure on him, and we have the perfect line to do that. So that is the one thing.
And McDowell and Malik Jackson played out of their minds.
Malik Jackson was wonderful today. Really did a fine job. You know what's funny about this? They're all from the same coaching tree, and Stefanski and Zimmer and all of them, and they all
Bill
look the same.
Parcells.
And they
It's the
all
Parcells.
look like they were equally moronic, taking turns being as stupid as they could be. And it's like, the poisonous fruit from that one tree all came together in this one game. And watching, the Browns keep giving the ball basically back to the Vikings, and then the Vikings proceeding to do nothing with it. I mean, you tell me, you get the ball back, and it's like, thank you, oh Lord. We have now we're going to establish our running game. It's like,
Yeah, 9 minutes left in the game, and he's fucking running the ball.
hello. And I'm like, thank you, Jesus. And I'm Jewish. I'm like, thank you so much for allowing this to happen. Let them use the clock. And, and that's wonderful. And let Dalvin make his one great cut because he's on butazolidine, and let him think that they can just run the ball down the field. Meanwhile, we're talking about Baker Mayfield, and at the same time, we're looking at Kirk Cousins and saying, this can't be the top-rated quarterback in football. That's not possible.
Oh,
God almighty. Every bad Kirk Cousins memory suddenly was stirred.
Well, he was absolutely due a bad game. He was absolutely due a bad game.
I agree.
Jesus, I said that.
But, the first possession, it was like, wing, wing, wing. The second we went into a press coverage, it was like, they're after me, and just chucking the ball down the field. No idea where it was going.
Yeah, but thank God Joe Woods made adjustments, because we've talked about all year, no adjustments, no change, just hard-headed, sticking to your play calling. If we came out and we played that defense we played in the first drive, we would have lost this game 24-3. It was pathetic.
But the last pass that Thielen caught kept the game going. It was that same soft coverage zone. It doesn't work. Is it possible that our guys are just better press coverage players and we should be playing a different
100%.
Yeah.
scheme? It sure looks that way.
Since the start. They've always been press guys. Don't know why we're trying to make them something they're not.
And Delpit made a nice play on the ball.
Yeah.
Delpit made a couple real good plays.
And Greedy, I tell you what, on that play where he got the pick, he was essentially just playing safety. He didn't really have a job. He just kind of saw the man and flow with him and ended up getting the pick.
Now, and the other thing is, go ahead.
Sorry,
Go ahead.
he got nice position on that play too.
Yeah.
That was just, he just read that thing and he's just like, where I'm going to get there, because there's a little more air under it. But yeah, the offense, boy, that's another great comment from the chat. The offense is just, man, I don't know what the deal is. And fourth down, well, I'm done with going for it on fourth down. Okay, I've had enough of that.
And it's not even going for it on fourth and short. It's that you're trying to pass on fourth and short.
And it's that the play calls are low percentage, or the quarterback is turning them into these low percentage throws.
Or the offensive line is turning them into low percentage.
Yeah, Bronk.
Can we just now finally say that why not let Chase McLaughlin kick the ball on fourth down instead of fucking going
yeah,
for
he's
it?
proved that
Can we
he can
just
kick
let
a
him
fucking
kick it?
field.
What more does he have to
I
do?
think they still got Parkey out there.
No, the guy must
Or
feel
Greg
guilty.
Joseph.
He's guilty. He's getting a paycheck. They're using him so little.
Or who was the Austin whatever?
Austin
Powers.
Powers.
Austin Powers.
Powers,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh my gosh! The Jets
Yeah,
are gonna beat
baby,
the Titans
yeah.
in overtime.
Austin
Yeah.
Tiger sacks.
Yeah, and you look at the stats in the game. And I'm not saying that stats tell the whole story, but goodness gracious, 20 first downs for the Browns, 16 for the Vikings. The Browns are supposed to be a dominant second half team. Total yards, 327 to 255. My God. Yards per play, 4.4 for the Browns, 4 for the Vikings. I mean, and the funny thing is, not funny, the pathetic thing is that the touchdown that Cousins threw was just a complete gaffe on the part of the Browns, who don't know how to play the soft zone coverage. Two guys, Johnson and Ward, look at each other like, well, I thought you were going to do that. You always have that who farted look, and they both had the who farted look. I just can't imagine how both of these teams feel. And I'm going to say something that I said something at the television that I never thought I would say. And that is, Stefanski, you fucking idiot. And I believe that Stefanski is a smart guy. I've talked him up on the program. He coached dumb today. He coached really dumb. The play calling was suspect. The situationals were terrible. I was afraid he wasn't going to get the timeout before the last play when his guys were about passed out on the field.
And the challenges too. That first challenge it looked a little suspect in real time, but still a bad challenge. And then Baker had that first down.
Yep.
It didn't challenge it, and then we got the penalty.
Yeah, we're dialed out of bounds. That was like a first down to me.
Neither he nor Baker did anything to improve our chances of winning this football game. And that is the honest to God truth. And and I noticed that Baker was yelling at one of the assistant coaches. And it's like, you can be yelling all you want. But the fact of the matter is that there ain't going to be no more national commercials for you if you play this way. And the last 3 weeks, the Browns offense has trended down like a stock that's dying. And, there's an explanation for it. But to me, what it looks like is that you ever get that, I don't know if you ever played basketball, and got the chance to take a last second shot. And you got the ball in your hands and you have plenty of time to go up and take the shot, plenty of time to square your shoulders, but it's you rush it up. That's what Baker looked like on that last throw to OBJ.
Well, he looked like a star shooter, like, I don't want to say a Steph Curry, but somebody who normally makes those shots, but you miss a few and then you start questioning yourself and then you don't want to hit them shots.
Well, that last play, he just looked, and he sped up his motion when all he had to do was just nice and easy lay it in.
Yeah, he didn't put any air under it at all. It was pretty much a bullet.
Yep.
So
even the one he completed toward the end of the game to Odell Beckham and to Higgins were thrown. He was frustrated, and he let it get to him.
Don Galt. Let's throw back a Don Galt pass.
Wow.
Let's bring back that guy had no touch whatsoever.
Right. and we've been watching Baker make all kinds of different passes, and now all of a sudden it's like this regression, and it is of concern because it's, when you have Demetric Felton standing there, and you also later in the game had Kareem Hunt standing there, right, and he was looking right at them, and he decided to run and take the sack rather than throw the ball to them. As far as I'm concerned, I was on the verge of saying, put Keenum in. Keenum would have at least thrown the ball to those people. He wouldn't do anything downfield, but he would throw the ball to those people. I don't know what Baker Mayfield was thinking, whether he was trying to be, Harry High School hero. I don't know what the deal is, but you move the chains because every possession, every first down matters in a game like that, because it was apparent to me that neither team really was quite up to scoring a touchdown in the second half of that football game. And, I don't get it.
Defenses were wet blankets.
One thing you had said was that in the end zone, that play that was designed for Beckham, why are you running him on a play that takes so long to set up? That makes no sense at all. He's had guys in his face, and then you're trying to, give him a route that's going to take, a couple seconds or whatever. How do you expect him to have time? Of course he's going to overthrow that.
And another one that just mystifies me: you have the ball down there in the end zone, and you're on the 2 yard line, 1 yard line, and you know there is nobody who can jump higher than Kareem Hunt. You hand the ball off and let him dive over the pile, and he's going to go over the goal line. He's done it several times. We never even tried it, and instead you go into that stupid Odell Beckham mode where and that pattern. I mean, there was no chance. I mean, you don't take that much time on a play at the goal line on a touchdown. You absolutely need you. It's just mind-boggling. And if it weren't for the spirit of our fearless crew, the minnow would have been lost. If it weren't for the holding call against the Vikings, we don't score a touchdown.
That wasn't chokehold. That was a proper holding call, by the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Just like it was a proper interference call on Hill. He grabbed a jersey.
Oh, he had a nice handful of jersey on that.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
That's a legit call.
That was a play he could get away with the Rams, but you're not going to get away with that as a fucking Cleveland Brown.
Yeah. I mean,
Hey, am I wrong, or is Landry off IR next week?
No, it's another game.
One more week?
3 weeks
Yeah, he's got
is what
3 weeks.
3 weeks is what they said with him, and we sure as hell need him
because he played in the second game. That's right.
Yeah,
There-
that's the first play of the second game. Yeah,
I am quite convinced that there is never going to be any chemistry between Baker Mayfield and OBJ. I'm quite convinced that it's the biggest hype conversation that I've ever seen. And I don't know what it is that compels Baker Mayfield to keep trying to force the ball into this guy. And obviously, the organization thinks nothing of Donovan Peoples-Jones. They're not going to throw a football in his direction. Rashard Higgins caught, 4 for 63? Is that
4 for 63, yeah.
And, and he's got reliable hands. Everything else was overthrown, for God's sakes. But there's nobody who, Harrison Bryant was wide open and the ball sailed over his head. It just seems like the more they force feed OBJ, the worse everything gets. And I'm sorry, but it is an unmistakable pattern at this point because OBJ's not open. OBJ is not even in proper game condition. And we have a bunch of receivers who probably feel short shrifted now because they're not even being paid attention to. It's
You kind of wish that they would have kind of eased him back in a little bit more than just to throw him out there. I mean, the first week back, he played, 53 plays or 58 plays, some ridiculous number like that. So, it just, I don't know. There's definitely something there. They're not hitting the tight ends out of the backfield because they're not getting open. Probably the best passing play they had last week was the stuff to Hunt, and they didn't utilize him.
Passes.
He caught,
passes to the flat that are high percentage throws.
And Moo, the thing is, and this, I think I said it in your halftime, this passing out of play action, the way we're trying to do it, is not going to work. You can't have guys just running downfield on play action. There has to be something over the middle or more options over the middle because guys are either blanketed or, he's just got time and he has to try to run around and make plays with nobody open. It's just not sustainable.
Trill Hill 7714. The play calling is too predictable. It isn't that it's just predictable. It's just bad. I mean, stop and think about it. Part of the strength of the Cleveland Browns is you can know that they're going to run the ball and they still will get yardage and they'll mow you down in the fourth quarter of the game. You heard the statistic that the announcers actually did bring up, that we averaged 10 minutes of possession in the fourth quarter this year. For 4 games. I mean, that's because they run the football. The play calling being predictable is great if it's working. But the bottom line is if you abandon the thing that's working and you throw low percentage passes because your quarterback doesn't want to check down, then you have 2 men who are working against, each other and the team. And it's not the play calling is predictable. It's A, terrible, and B, the performance of the quarterback is terrible.
And it's the system, too. The system shows you the same thing weekly.
Now, something's got to give, and I don't, and I know it's about execution. I don't, and I know what Stefanski's
Yeah,
going to say.
I'm damn sure almost there too.
Yeah, I mean,
Execute all of them.
yeah, I
In
mean,
favor of it.
the way that I know that in his press conference he's going to put it on himself. It's not good enough. I don't want to hear that. Oh, on some calls I take back now. You can't take them back now. You have to not make them at the time. I don't want to hear this shit. We got to get better. I don't want to hear that shit. We made the playoffs last year and we shouldn't be playing this way. And Baker Mayfield and Odell Beckham are not more important than the other guys on the field. When guys like Jadeveon Clowney are playing hurt, and a guy like Jedrick Wills is playing on one leg, don't tell me that one person is so much more important than somebody else. It makes me sick. The whole thing just makes me puke. And I am pissed off at Mayfield, and I haven't been I'm a great defender of his, but the fact is he's playing hero ball out there. And I don't know why he's doing that. And why the coach is caving in and making these play calls, it makes no damn bit of sense to me whatsoever. The play calling is just not good.
It's starting to look a lot like the Freddie Kitchens offense of 2 years ago. That's what it was reminding me of.
Yeah.
Like
Except
Freddie
run a lot
Kitchens
more.
play calls and.
Alistair, nice to see you. It's nice to see all viewers from various days gone by. The fact that it's not OBJ's fault that the Browns are trying to make him the center of the universe, no, it's not his fault. It's the fault of people who cave into his gigantic ego. That's where the problem lies. And he's got to be the same as everybody else on the field. And he's got to run slant patterns over the middle. He's got to do some of the dirty work that Landry would be doing. He's got great hands, and we need to throw him the ball in the middle of the field and quit worrying about the home run ball. The home run ball will come if you move the chains. And if you run the football and keep battering them, just like the last play, I mean, the 3rd and 5, he's wide open, and Baker just pulls the string on it. I got no idea. But no, it's not OBJ's fault per se. It's just the carnival that follows him wherever he goes, and he is no different than everyone else. And the coaches had better figure that out. And as far as Jedrick Wills, yeah, he didn't come back on the field this time.
No.
So, and
they need to keep him out next week.
Well, and the position that he plays, it's not going to get better. They can continue to do treatment and stuff, but it's just resting is the only thing that's going to help that thing. So, I mean, he may be playing with that all year long, unless.
Well, he is now.
Yeah.
Now it's become chronic because you play a hard football on that, and that's what's going to happen to Dalvin Cook too. I mean, Dalvin Cook, for this one opportunity for them to even their record at 500, they've blown this guy's ankle out.
Playing on turf exacerbates it too.
Yeah. You can't be doing stuff like that. And
you got Treader's knee as well. Is still something he's been fighting through for a couple of years.
Yeah,
doing a nice job there. I mean, it's one of those things. It'll make a big difference having Chris Hubbard back if he can get back. I think that's going to help because when he stepped in the last time, he certainly looked like we didn't lose as much as we would with Hance or anybody else they put in there.
So. Well, another thing, that teams in our division are going to be licking their chops because the Vikings don't have a good defense, folks, and look what they did to us. They easily covered every passing downfield play. Our receivers were blanketed. That's not good. And if you're going to put up 14 points because Baker's just going to throw the ball all over hell and back, you will lose to the Steelers and the Ravens. You will, because you cannot.
And the Bengals.
Yeah, you cannot score in that range and really count on winning. And I was just sitting there saying to myself, I've seen this play out so many times where you snatch, defeat from the grasp of victory. And you keep giving the ball back to somebody, and a lucky play can happen. And that's what would happen to the Browns of old. We dodged a bullet today. We really dodged a bullet. And, I feel great. We're 3-1. That's wonderful. It's great. But looking at I look at the statistics in these games, and I know that, and I'm not an analytics guy by any stretch of the imagination, but when you tell me that you've rushed for 184 yards, and in your final drive, when the other team had to use all but one of their timeouts and should have had to have used all of their timeouts if you'd have run the ball the last time too, you run for 184 yards in a game, and you finish off the game with like 3 of your last 4 plays, low percentage passing plays. You can't be serious about this. I mean, they averaged almost 5 yards a carry, just under 5.
If we think we're going to play this way on offense and win next week, the Chargers are going to blow us out. It's going to be bad.
And the thing is that you have to be precise. And I don't know what's happened to Baker Mayfield. I don't know why he's suddenly errant.
I'm not blaming it on the brace, but I think the brace is hindering him, because it seems like, he throws so much of his body into throws. If you watch him, it's a lot of his shoulders and hip movement. It seems like it's just throwing him off as far as the accuracy goes, especially on the deep throws.
And the other thing that I noticed that bothered me is when he would do the play action, there were times he could have stepped up into the pocket, but he's again starting to get dodgy and trying to get out of that pocket, and he's trying to flee to his right. And
he doesn't trust that offensive line again.
I don't
2019 all over again.
What does it take for Baker Mayfield to trust anybody, maybe? I don't know what the story is. That's what created the wide open Kareem Hunt when we should have tied the game in the first quarter on our first possession, is that he kept flushing himself out of the pocket and trying to make these throws that were off balance, and it's not what he does. He's much better when he plants his feet and he's decisive in his reads. It looked like he would drop back, look up, and go, well, OBJ's not open. Oh my God, I gotta run for my life. And it's like, oh, there's Dimitri. Fuck it, that's only 5 yards. And that's it. That's what it looked like to me. And I am, until proven wrong, gonna say that he's Harry High School hero guy. Baker was frustrated, and he just wanted to take his little ball and go home. And that he's spoiled and that he's pampered. And I'm gonna take that approach until he proves me wrong. That made no sense to me. I mean, and we've seen him check the ball down and how efficient that offense is. And he can only pass for 220, 230 yards, but it's efficient. He's 19 of 21. He's efficient. He's getting the ball to the proper people in the proper place of the field. Why would he revert?
Do we need to ask the question again? Is it because of OBJ? I mean, I think it's time to put this to bed. Either it is or it isn't. And right now, there's even more proof that it is, despite everybody saying, oh, you're crazy if you think OBJ is hurting the Browns. Well, if you hurt the quarterback, you're hurting the team. So it's got to be something. It's not a coincidence that all of a sudden Beckham's back in a significant role and the passing, goes from being very efficient, like you said, in the Chiefs game. They moved the ball. Second week, same thing, maybe not as much. Against the Bears, looked solid at times, not as great. And now it's just back to the same old shit. And there's got to be a reason why. You can't keep ignoring this.
Yeah, and Scott, JOK, huge. And, I don't mean this down-talking of the offense to discredit the defense in any way, shape, or form. the defense won this game for the Cleveland Browns. Make no mistake about that. This maligned defense that looked really, really outstanding against the Chicago Bears. And, you know, and by the way, Pittsburgh has gone up 7-0 on Green Bay.
Big Ben had a touchdown pass. Looked good.
Yeah, so, you know, but I'm just sifting through scores, and the Bears beat the Lions. My God, the Lions are hapless.
Yeah.
I mean, but they put 24 points on the board, and, you know, what I'm doing is saying Justin Fields was 11 of 17 for 209 yards and averaged 12.3 yards per pass.
He had some big throws today to Jerome Mooney or whatever.
Oh,
And, you know, Detroit can't get out of its own way. And it didn't matter. Jared Goff had an 105 quarterback rating, but, you know, the fact is the Browns defense might be getting better. It might be getting better than what we thought, and maybe they're not going to be so maligned. Maybe if they're getting into the right scheme here instead of the soft zone, the attacking defense worked against the Bears, and it worked again against a cooler-headed customer in Kirk Cousins who knows better.
With Newsome out too.
yeah,
That's
I
a
think JOK's got to be the difference. That's the big difference in the past couple of weeks is his play.
Here's
And
an even bigger head scratcher. The Jets are going to beat the Titans.
Oh,
Yeah, they did
did.
beat the
They
Titans.
just did. Oh my God!
And Malik Jackson has been huge. I didn't know why Andrew Billings was
Yeah.
in the game in the beginning of the game. I almost died when I saw that morbidly obese piece of shit on the field. I don't know what he was doing out there.
Boy, thank
boy,
God
he's-
Malik-
Jimmy.
He stands out like, yeah, he stands out like your cousin Gerd at the you know at the holiday picnic.
Wow.
That's
Robert Sellers
think-
has got ice bath.
my
Thank
God.
God we McDowell has worked out, because if he didn't, Andrew Billings would be the one getting significant playing time right
Oh
now.
God, yeah.
And that's a scary thing.
Nobody
But I
wants
mean,
to see that.
you know what's great watching the defense is that we actually have a defense that stops the run. That's the one thing that's been consistent all year. We couldn't stop the forward pass, but and now we're defending both.
And they tackle. They
I
tackle
tell you
well.
what, we don't want to play the Cardinals. They're beating the Rams. Kyler Murray's already got 2 touchdowns.
So I just have a question though. Now that the Jets have won a game, does Chris reflog McNeil like have a bottle of champagne when every team has won one game, so the Browns can hold on to that perfect season? Is that what?
No, because the Lions did it
Yeah, I was
first.
gonna say the Lions. Yeah.
Oh, actually, Tampa Bay did it before anybody, but still, I'm like,
I mean, the fact that
Well, that was a
Tennessee-
14-game season.
yeah,
the fact that Tennessee lost, and Tennessee is a team that you want to keep your eyes on, you know, and
yeah, it's not bad having Tennessee not win a
Oh
game.
yeah, absolutely.
that's right. I mean,
Yes.
and here they are now at 2-2, and they've lost a game that should have been like a gimme. All right, and you've got Indianapolis Colts who finally won, but that just makes them 1-3, and makes sure Miami's 1-3.
Well, Miami's awful. They are
Well,
really a bad team.
yeah.
Miami
I mean,
is awful.
it makes me at least feel a little bit better about the way the Browns played today, because, you know, you start looking right now at the way things are piecing together, and a lot of the teams that we thought would be fighting for the top positions, now we've got the Chargers and the Raiders, and the West is really dangerous as hell. And you know, Tennessee has not been able to get its shit together, and neither have the Colts, and neither have the Dolphins. Those are playoff teams from the
Nice
past.
jacket from Hammer, by the way, today. Very nice.
Oh,
jacket.
and it's not a very good day to be a blobfish, because the Bills just rolled the Texans 40-0.
Ouch.
Wah, 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 wah,
Well, the Bills, we
wah.
knew the Bills were going to be good now, didn't we? We knew that.
Well,
They are who we thought
40
they
to
are.
nothing.
Right.
Whoa.
And, you know,
Oh, and the
I'm,
Giants got
Giants.
an upset.
Yeah, they came back
27-21.
and beat the fucking Saints.
Yeah, and
So basically, New York is going to be unbearable this week. Is that what we're saying?
And you know what's
It's always
amazing?
unbearable.
The unfortunate, the Jets.
Go on the Broncos.
Yeah, the Jets and the Washington football team won. Poor Atlanta. Poor Atlanta. I mean, dump your Home Depot stock for God's sakes. Terrible, terrible team. But some of the unfortunates in the league are doing okay this week. It's been it really is a strange thing. And as far as the Browns are concerned, I can go over and over again statistics, but it's really hard to say when people are being, I've seen Baker make back shoulder throws and guys catch the ball, but I don't feel comfortable the way he's throwing the ball. The reason he had no interceptions today is he was overthrowing the entire secondary. It was
Yeah,
peculiar.
everything
nobody
was going
near
to
any
the
of the
19th
balls.
row.
15 of 33 is not a good day for your quarterback.
No,
And-
it's got to be a
and-
40 rating or something.
And you leave a lot of plays on the field, and the truth of the matter is, Baker, you can play with a chip on your shoulder all you want, but the reason that you give fuel to the fire, Tom Brady doesn't go out in the motherfucking field and take a big steamy dump on a field like you did today, Baker. And the reason that these people in the media have a higher regard for other quarterbacks is you go out and you play like this. I don't. I feel as if I've defended him, and I will. He's the quarterback. You got to live with what you got, but it doesn't make sense to me. Something isn't adding up, and when he was yelling at an assistant coach, something ain't right. Something is just amiss, and I don't know what that is, but the Baker that looked calm, composed, looked frenetic.
Yeah.
He looked sped up.
Rodgers just tied up the Steelers. Sorry.
Yep.
7-7.
Well, look, you think you're going to scare Aaron Rodgers with one score? That ain't going to happen. And that's why these old-time great quarterbacks are looked upon as great quarterbacks, because they don't fold given situations. But Baker Mayfield folded. He really did. The defense kept giving him the ball back. And he had opportunities to hit open men on a few occasions, and he was so far off the mark. And the play calling did the rest of the damage, and they didn't let the team win with its strength in the fourth quarter. The play calling was poor. And, I put it all on Baker and Stefanski. I think the defense put out a huge effort. I think the offensive line puts out a huge effort playing hurt and doing what they can. I see nothing about the tight ends that they're doing wrong. I see nothing that Donovan Peoples-Jones is doing wrong. I see nothing that Rashard Higgins is doing wrong. I'm not going to criticize those people. I criticize the people who did poorly. And that would be Baker Mayfield and Kevin Stefanski. They sucked the big moose. Yeah, Bron.
Bengals just went up 7-0 against the hated Baltimore Ravens.
The Broncos.
Nice touchdown. The Broncos, sorry, Bengals. They have the same colors.
Yeah, well, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens there, because the Ravens haven't exactly been setting the world on fire. To be very honest with you, with the exception of Buffalo now, who really seems to be finding their tempo here, nobody really has blown the roof off the sucker.
Cardinals.
Well, this
These
week's
were good
flavor,
games,
I was gonna
though.
say, this week's flavor was the Rams after last week, so that was a big, But this is a big NFC. The Cards weren't bad a few years ago. It's just all of a sudden now you get to see what Kyler Murray can really do, and the guy's got an arm.
Yeah, and Davis Mills for Houston completed 15 passes, and 4 of them were to Buffalo.
Yay.
My God. I mean,
Yeah, I
and,
would
and,
have
got-
got the Buffalo defense. I would have scored a lot more points.
Josh Allen was at 70% completion,
So,
only had to throw 29 times.
so Brian,
great-
is it all your fault with all the fantasy picks that you're getting wrong? Is that why these teams are going horribly bad? Baker
Well,
and,
you know, it started off with the Antichrist, you know.
yeah.
I guess I'm seeing who's getting stronger, and then a bunch of teams who are just kind of stumbling around, and it is peculiar. It is really peculiar. Look around now. Buffalo's 3-1. The Patriots play later. They're 1-2. The Dolphins and the Jets are 1-3. All right. The Bengals and the Browns are at the top. The Ravens are fighting, and the Steelers are fighting not to go to 500 or below. And the Titans are leading the South with a 500 record, and everybody else is the Jaguars, the Colts, and the Texans. There is no sign that there's any heartbeat in Houston or in Jacksonville at this point. And then you've got this big time AFC West.
But
Everybody's
that's kind of
good.
what happens when you have the cast-off Browns retirement home as your football team.
Well, it used to be the defense for the Broncos, but not so much anymore. Now they're just all there.
No,
Char-
I
or,
remember
Cards.
when I
Yeah.
remember when Denver picked up all 4 defensive
Yeah.
linemen from the
Denver
Browns
yeah.
and made them their starters.
There you go.
Cardinals score again.
Cardinals kicking ass.
James Conner with the touchdown. Do you have him on your fantasy team?
Yeah. Now,
No, I had Zach Moss.
it says
He actually had 12 points. So
Ooh.
best impact is saying the Baker's the only guy that gets no break when he has a bad game. Well,
But you're
you
the
know
man.
something. You got to be accountable. And the fact of the matter is, you can't be yelling at the sidelines at your coaches when you're the one fucking up. When you're leaving plays on the field because you refuse to take what a team gives you because you are frustrated and you want to force that ball down the field. I know that Baker Mayfield wants to win, but he can't be a lunkhead about it. And he deserves accolades when he plays well, and he deserves criticism when he plays selfishly like he did today. That's all. And
Wouldn't
I'm
you
not
say-
Colin Cowherd, and I know they're going to go off and they're going to do their thing. I'm not going there. I'm talking about this game today. That's what the post-game show is. And, I make a better judgment when I look at, once we get to the halfway mark of the season, how's Baker playing? What's the good, what's the bad? That's it.
Wouldn't you also say that the team has a better chance for Baker to have a bad game and still win this year because of such an upgrade on the defensive side? It's just
Well, sure.
Like
and that's
there's
the front
so many more
office.
options. Yeah.
Yeah, the front office has done its job. And when I say,
I mean, you gave up 7 points to the Vikings, who are rolling in points so far this year. That's not bad, even
And
with
they
Delvin
dropped-
Cook on the shelf.
and they dropped 30 points on the Seattle defense.
Yeah.
yeah, and you know what's amazing?
Oh, Big Ben. I think you fumbled there, man.
Maybe he won't get up.
Yeah, Big Ben just fumbled it.
the Vikings calling a 4th timeout, Tony. How does that happen?
Oh, that was a beautiful thing. What the hell?
Like, oh, fuck man, fuck.
What happened?
Calling the 4th timeout, and even the better part is then it gave him a
I don't
chance
know
to go ahead and
anything
run the
anymore.
2-point conversion. I mean,
Yeah,
what the hell was that all about? Oh my
that was
gosh!
hilarious.
Yeah, I just that whole sequence of I don't know how that was a holding on Kendricks in the end zone on 4th downs. He barely grabbed the jersey. But you're gonna call that?
Your connection is getting
He's
weak.
The
dying.
whole
Tony.
game was just so
He's dying. Check on him. He's dying. He's dying.
Yeah, Tony, you better check on your internet speed because
Is this any better?
Yeah, it's a little better.
Let's hope your signal picks up a little. Yeah, but I mean, it was just representative of the game. a player calling a fourth timeout that gives life to the other team, and the other team doesn't want life. And it's like we're in position to kick field goals, and we won't kick. God forbid, we didn't want points. And but isn't that the same thing? I mean, and I want to make this comparison before I go off the air, so at least people will take something away with an understanding of what I'm saying. If you go out and refuse to take a certain 35-yard field goal from your kicker and get 3 points in a game that is looking like it's going to be a very tight game, and you insist like a sledgehammer, you insist on going for it for fourth down, and you're muffing it up, for the last several times you've gone for it. How is that any different than Baker staring at Demetric Felton and Kareem Hunt and not throwing the ball to them to get the first down, but instead going for the hero play? I see these two men have a similar problem, and it's going to cost us. It is the wrong attitude. And this is why I'm blaming these two guys. You cannot be stubborn. You got to do what works against the opponent that you're playing. You can't just say, well, we go for it because we're aggressive. If you're not executing, you kick the goddamn field goal and you take points. And how many times do you have to fail before you get clubbed over the head with it like a baby seal? And the same thing for Baker Mayfield. You got to take what's there. And you can't be headstrong about this, because the whole team that's put that whole defensive unit that put out that effort would go home a loser with that attitude from the offensive coordinator, head coach, and the quarterback. If they all played that selfishly, what would happen if people just abandoned their gaps in run defense and let Dalvin Cook run right through them? But everybody did what they were supposed to do except those two men. And ain't no excuse. There's no excuse.
Yeah, for those wondering if it was possible to pull a Chris Webber in an NFL game, the answer is yes.
It's not analytics at this point, Dad. It's ego, and it's no different than Baker Mayfield's ego to make the big play. And it's not in the best interest of the organization or getting far into the season, getting into the playoffs. You can't be stubborn. You have to sometimes listen to what other people are telling you. And Mr. Stefanski, I'm telling you, stop being bullheaded. I don't want to hear at the press conference that you did this wrong and that you did that wrong and you want to get better at it. Learn from this. And, I have no problem with going for it for fourth down, but I don't want to go for it for fourth down and end up with a low percentage passing play. And I don't want the ball in the hands of the quarterback who insists on firing the ball down the field, who makes reads, and is consistently turning down the surefire thing to go for something that is forced and low percentage. That's all it is. It's and that's a good comparison, Brian. Good comparison. Chris Webber calling that timeout. Yeah. So,
defense, good. Linebackers played solid. You see Elijah Lee in there a lot as well.
Yeah. Why is this the reverse from the first two games? Because, again, we've stopped playing to our strength. We are trying to force things that aren't there. And, you would think that if the Browns are suddenly developing a better defense, that, we would learn to take what's there, and we would have the confidence to know that maybe we don't have to score 34 points in a goddamn game to win it. And maybe that if we just take the first downs and if we score 24 points and the defense does this kind of a job, we're going to win. That's that, And I agree, Heston. You like to see it when the defense and the offense both play well at the same time. We have not seen that yet. And fortunately, when the offense has played badly, the defense has played well, and the other way around. But it's no way to win games in the long run. It just isn't. And the Ravens tie it up, according to Tony the Calf, who's in there watching that game, and somehow that doesn't surprise me. Let me go over there. And Lamar Jackson is 5 of 10 for 74 yards, no TDs, but already Latavius Murray is at 4.2 yards per carry. Not sure how they scored, not sure what the situation is there, but Lamar Jackson is at 50% completion and a 74 rating, which is where he's been the last couple of weeks, which is not particularly good. Teddy Bridgewater is only at 44% completion in the early going here. So lots of football left to be played in Denver, but that's what's going on there. And, you know, we got time to clean our act up, but you know, you're going in against, and I'll say this, I will say this, and Tony's not here to, you know, I was chatting with him during the game, and I thought that, you know, the Vikings defensively played well enough clearly to win this football game. I don't know what in the hell happened. The wheels came off offensively, and the players made ill timed mistakes. All mistakes are damaging, but the way they made mistakes was just, you know, absolutely crazy destructive. But the Vikings are close to being a decent team, but you know, they're 1-3 now, and it's because they're, you know, they were taken away from their identity. Dalvin Cook could not get anything going, just couldn't get anything going, and it had forced them into must passing situations and allowed the Browns line to tee off, and Kirk Cousins could not beat the press coverage. I mean, quite simply, the ball was not as accurate as he has been, and you know, he was, of course, how do you continue throwing at 74% if you're Kirk Cousins? And we got Tony back in here. You with us, Tony?
I'm on my phone now. Yeah, I don't. There's something going on with my computer that won't let me join the show where it won't freeze. But what happened, and I'll tell you what happened, is our offensive line decided to say, "Fuck it, we're not going to protect you, Kirk. We'll let you fucking feast for yourself." And all of a sudden, bad Kirk Cousins came back. He was rushed. Receivers couldn't get open, and it's what happens.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins cannot be mistaken for an Aaron Rodgers or a Tom Brady or a, you know, a guy who's a big career quarterback. But, you know, when people keep comparing Baker Mayfield to Kirk Cousins, it surely doesn't help when Baker side by side with him plays an equally poor game. So, you know, you're going to hear those comparisons being made. You know that. And there's Tony again popping in and out.
Yeah, I don't know what the fuck's going on.
You're like popping fresh dough, dude.
Yeah, I totally agree.
White
You know, and
Marshmallow
we've
Hill.
had the opportunity to improve the offensive line for fucking 7 years, and they refuse to do it. And hopefully, I think you're going to see a regime change in Minnesota, because this season's over as far as I'm concerned. They're not making the playoffs. They're going to be 5-12, 6-11.
Yeah, well, and you know what happens is you play a great game the week before and you beat the Seahawks, then you come out and you lay an egg like this, and then do you lay down? The question is, are the Vikings just going to lay down?
Well, they play the Lions next week, so if there was ever a game to lay down.
No, but I mean, this is what I see around the league is when sometimes when the going gets tough, certain teams just get going and leave the building, and teams that give up, and we've seen enough Browns teams do it. Minnesota is right on the cusp of losing these winnable games, and the players just getting frustrated and not believing in the system. And I don't want Baker Mayfield to think he's more important than the system. And, again, the system has to incorporate the judgment of the quarterback, where he goes with the ball. And also the head coach has to accept responsibility for going against the strength of the team. And I'd like to know if anybody has seen a press conference of Stefanski, what he has said. I am, oh wait, I'm is this Stefanski blamed himself, said he struggled and needs to do a better job of getting guys open when asked about Baker Mayfield's rough outing. Well, how could you, if you were there for your whole fucking life, Stefanski? What is it you didn't know?
Yeah, he
Mike
was only
Zimmer
in
is
our
not
organization for
Einstein.
14 years.
Yeah, and Zimmer's not Einstein. I mean, come on. It was. I knew that he would do this, but that's not good enough because if you come back the next week and you do the same goddamn thing all over again, it just doesn't make people like you. This may be true. This may be true. I'm not a fun guy. The Seahawks maybe are just not that good, So, I sense a Cincinnati fan in the building, and you're 3-1. Congratulations. You're a sucky 3-1, and you'll be exposed. Joe Burrow, his knee is not healthy. Not healthy. And in the pocket, if the Browns are able to put pressure on teams like they have the last two games, with Cincinnati coming up, Burrow won't make it out of the game.
That's going to
won't make it out of the game. So you go ahead and put that in your pipe and smoke it, okay? Yeah. And as far as Joe Burrow is concerned, I like the young man. I don't want him to get hurt. I don't like to see any players get hurt. But the offensive line in Cincinnati's not good.
Stefanski referred to today's win as a great team win. No, Kevin, it was a great defensive win.
Yes, I agree. I totally agree.
No, there were a lot of mistakes by the Vikings in this game that they could have grasped the game by the scruff of the neck, and they clearly didn't. So
look at this Bengals fans trying to talk trash. This is take out your little. Take a little Instamatic phone camera and go, and you take a picture of that 3-1 record. Go ahead and do it. Take that little you with the picture of it, selfie of yourself in front of the 3-1 background, and enjoy and savor the moment. It's not gonna last, you stupid fucking asshole. But enjoy it while you can.
Wow.
That's what fandom is all about. And again, I like Joe Burrow. I think he's good, and I think he's going to be real good with a real good offensive line. He's going to be real good, You
said it right there, Moo. With a real good offensive line, if they improve that offensive line and keep him from getting killed, then he's going to be just the way he was in college. Very dynamic. The guy's got a cannon for an arm, makes decent decisions, and he's got tremendous upside. Somebody was arguing with me about upside between Joe Burrow and Baker Mayfield. And my comment was, well, Joe Burrow's 6'4". He's got more upside than. Never mind.
Yes, he does. And I'm not going to sit here and lie about it. No, but I believe that Joe Burrow has more, and I understand your pun. But I do believe that Burrow has a bright future if the Bengals and Mike Brown don't fuck it up. And that's the history of that organization.
Mike Brown, no, you just said the magic word there, Mike Brown.
That's right.
He is awful.
Yep.
Thank God for that.
If they don't get him an offensive line,
win yourself $50.
That ACL gets redamaged, that knee gets redamaged with that big brace on it, and you're not going to be talking about Joe Burrow. And this is the responsibility of the organization to keep him protected. And if you think you're going to continue winning by throwing 19 times a game, and when Mixon is lucky to get 60 yards a game, when you start playing better teams, you're going to see that it's not so easy.
That was it. They played Jacksonville, and I will say this: they scored on every possession in the second half. That was a pretty impressive
game. They almost lost.
Yeah, but I'm thinking
I don't believe in kicking the bit. Enjoy it. The Browns were such a bad team for such a long time that I hated it when people would kick sand in our face because we were perpetual losers. I'm not going to do that to the Cincinnati Bengals. Just you come into a show like this and you talk trash about this and that. I mean, The Bengals haven't done anything yet. Let them do something. The Browns won a playoff game last year. Have a little respect, you know. When Joe gets into the playoffs, the team gets into the playoffs and beats an opponent, then you can start talking a little louder. But I'll tell you this: with the Browns having had a nice season last year, you don't hear me talking trash about any of our divisional opponents. You're not gonna, because we're not that good. We can't afford to take that attitude. So
it's week in, week out. Those are 6 tough games for everybody.
yeah.
So
And right now, I wouldn't put a bet on those games right now. I really wouldn't. I'm going to get the hell out of here. I'm just so you know. I think we can walk away and say this: that the guys, what makes me smile about this game are Koromoa. I mean, he's just making me from ear to ear grin, because we haven't had somebody who's a human missile, who's a seek and destroy guy in that position, and we have one now.
Wow.
Malik
He is the
Jackson.
Browns version of Troy Polamalu.
Yeah, and Malik Jackson playing large like he did today and getting his hands up, knocking passes down, and putting pressure on. And Clowney showing character, playing exhausted. And, and watching our defensive secondary close to the receivers and breaking up passes. And, watching Delpit dive and bat a ball out of the hands of a receiver and making plays that professional secondary guys who are good secondary guys make. That's what leaves me walking away smiling. But I am concerned about the offense. I'm concerned about the play calling, but I'm really concerned about what's going on in the head of the quarterback that can make him go from being this gunslinging, being a focused team guy, into losing his shit and becoming a wild gunslinger again. That concerns me, because that could be a fatal personality trait flaw that will cost him in his career.
Lamar Jackson
Lamar
threw a
Jackson.
50-yard bomb to fucking Hollywood Brown for a touchdown.
what a catch,
He was
too.
wide open by about 10 yards.
There you have it, and if anyone who thinks the Ravens are going to go away, of course, that's not going to happen. And anybody who thinks the Broncos are really 3-0 with Teddy Bridgewater are basically,
Well, the game's not
weed.
over yet, but I think you're right.
You're
I mean,
smoking
we
the
saw
chronic.
the Panthers got manhandled by the Cowboys today.
Oh,
At
Yeah.
some point in time, Bridgewater's going to realize he's Teddy Bridgewater. Is that where we're going with that?
Yeah. I mean, it's history is history, and we know that the Broncos are not being selected as a team that is a playoff team. And I think that the Ravens have the capacity to play much better than they've been playing. Let's just put it that way. I think the Steelers don't really have the capacity to do that much more. There just isn't much upside. I think the Ravens, there is, but they have a different set of issues with the head coach who will stifle the development of Lamar Jackson. And
Steelers just doinked in a field goal.
I mean,
14-10
gotta
Green
happen.
Bay. Yeah.
So everybody, thanks a lot. We got the win, man. We got the win, and we're
We
3-1. And now we
did.
got to focus. I'll be talking about my tomorrow feelings about this game, but we got to start looking ahead to the Chargers, because that's going to be one tough game. Guys, thanks for joining me on the panel today. I appreciate it. Tony and Brian and Hammer Time and Bronk, thank you. And we get our way, we get a win, and now let's see what happens. I'm going to watch the second halves of football games, and I'm going to take a look at how the Ravens look so I can comment on that tomorrow as well. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in, and we'll see you tomorrow, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Until then, hasta la vista, Pasture Heads. Go Browns, 3-1. It was a win.
That's
See
what
you
I
all
thought.
tomorrow.
Oh.
Hey,